Hey, what's up, guys? This is MugenLord here, and I'm back again with some more Final Fantasy content. But this time, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the sequel among the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, because many people are wondering what's going on. We haven't heard much about it ever since we had that big announcement about last year, but now we in 2023, and they have hinted that the game is supposed to be dropping in 2023, or say the least that it could possibly come out early 2024. But we did get a little bit of information, and Final Fantasy VII Remake fans are super excited. And not much is said within this interview, but it appears that maybe the game may be coming out sometime this year. And right now they're trying to figure out when they will release the game, because the game, I guess from what they're hinting, that the game is essentially complete. So it must means that we're going to have a full-on marketing campaign pretty soon. But before we dive into this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So we're going to dive into it. Now, there's two things that's been released as far as tidbits of information for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in terms of the game's gameplay and what we can expect. They gave us a couple of hints, and we'll dive into that. But first, we're going to talk about the article, because there were some questions regarding when the game release, and where are they at in the development of the game and everything like that. So we want to go into that first, and then we will go into the other article. So we're going to dive right into it. From IGN, it says Final Fantasy VII Rebirth still launching this winter despite Square Enix going quiet for a year. Now, it appears that Square Enix has finally released an update on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth after a year of remaining quiet, reassuring fans that it's still on track for a launch this winter. Now, I also want to remind you guys that when they say winter, this winter, it doesn't necessarily mean even this year, because winter expands from, I believe, December to February of next year. So it could release in that window. But then when you look at Final Fantasy Crisis Core, it said a winter release, and I believe Crisis Core did come out around like November, December-ish of last year, I believe. So it could be a possibility we get it this year around the Christmas holiday, but who knows? It could go all the way to January to February of 2024. But I digress. So, posting the smallest possible question and answers on Final Fantasy VII Twitter below. Square Enix answered the question: how is development progressing on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? So the answer really doesn't give much away, though it sounds like fans may get a release date for the long-awaited sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake soon. So the response is: development is processing smoothly and according to plan, Square Enix said. We are currently working on nailing down a release date for the game. Though the existence of the second Final Fantasy VII Remake has been obvious for a long time, given that the first game only covers a small portion of the original story, the sequel was officially announced as Rebirth last June. Damn, it's been a long while ago. A debut trailer was shown at Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary celebration event, where Square Enix also announced that the remake would be turned into a 3-part trilogy, and the finale is already in development. Oh, so the finale is already in development too. So they working on both. So yeah, they pushing along pretty fast. And fans are eagerly awaiting updates on Rebirth. Haven't heard anything since, meaning another major announcement could be coming soon. While Square Enix isn't hosting a 26th anniversary celebration for Final Fantasy VII, it will have plenty of opportunity to reveal something big through the many upcoming video game showcases coming in the summer of gaming. So we are in the summer gaming fest right now. So we'll definitely be able to most likely hear something. As I said before, Final Fantasy 16 is going through their marketing as of right now. So after they've 16 release, I can guarantee you that we'll start seeing a lot of promotion for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So now the question is, what can we expect from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? So they have also dropped a tweet showing off, or just giving us some hints of what we can expect in terms of gameplay and the direction that they're going with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And we're going to do that right now in this tweet. So the question is, how will players journey through the world outside of Midgard in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? And the answer: players will be able to journey across the wide and multifaceted world with a high degree of freedom, experiencing a myriad of different stories along the way. Now, this is interesting for the simple fact is that this people got two things out of this, as far as the high degree of freedom and then the myriad of different stories. Now, we want to touch bases on both one at a time. First, we'll talk about the high degree of freedom. Now, if you're new to Final Fantasy VII, and I've been playing Final Fantasy VII since the launch. In fact, I had the demo disc, the promo demo disc that came with Turbo #1. That's what got me excited for Final Fantasy VII. But for those of us who've been around, the OGs, we already know that the game doesn't stop at Midgard. In fact, the game is just opening up where the player does have the freedom to be able to explore within the open world and everything in the game. Now, my question was with Final Fantasy VII Remake is how they was going to approach this gameplay, because after Midgard, the game does open up. It vastly open up, and we noticed that most modern JRPGs today, most don't do open worlds like they used to. They don't do them no more. They don't do the open map, the world map and stuff like that. They more so do connected zones, and I hate connected zones because it's been done a lot with the Tales games. After the Tales games had got away from the open world maps and they started doing connected zones, and it made the world seem much smaller because everything seems so connected and everything seems like there's no distance. You can't really get that scale of how vast the world is, where you just go down 3 zones and then you're in the next land, or you went from a fiery cave to a desert within 2 maps. So it's kind of hard to get that scale. So my question was with Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy, it was a reason why they stopped Final Fantasy VII Remake, the first game, at Midgard, because I had a feeling that they probably didn't know where they was going to go as far as how they going to approach everything outside of Midgard, since everything opens up. So hearing the fact that it's going to have high degree of freedom, it sounds like they may have cracked the code on how exploration is going to be, going to different towns, going to different areas, and if this open world or open map or open zones are going to be diverse, I can't wait to see how you're going to be able to approach enemies and able to also, utilize your party members during combat. And that also mean there's going to be a ton of side quests that's going to fully fully utilize this high degree of freedom that they're claiming that's supposed to happen here in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which also got me curious and excited. We did have some type of hint when we saw the little teaser trailer showing Sephiroth and Cloud together. This is during the calm flashback, I would assume, where Cloud's telling the story of how he got to know Sephiroth. But as you can see the background itself, you can see how vast the map is, and it also had me curious and wondering, will that entire map that we have seen with Cloud and Sephiroth walking together, will that be fully explorable? Like, if I can fully explore that, I think that'd be pretty cool, and I think we'll be able to get enough gameplay out of that, because Midgard was quite linear. Even in the original, it was quite linear, but it was to set the tone of the story moving forward. And that was symbolic of the heroes leaving from something that they known, and now they're going out into the vast open world, and they don't know what's beyond that. And that was very symbolic for that. So now we're going into the remake version of this. I'm quite curious to see how this approach is going to be. Now, the next part is what got everybody talking to is the other phrase, experiencing a myriad of different stories. This is what got everybody talking here. A myriad of different stories. Now, people are thinking that this game is going to be vastly different when it comes to the storytelling, that it's not going to follow the original, which I'm going to do a video about that, because there's a lot of contradictory statements saying that the developers are saying that no, it's going to follow the story beat by beat, but then turn around saying that there's going to be changes and how they approach it and stuff. So it does send mixed messaging. But this statement got a lot of OG fans really nervous because of how it's phrased, myriad of different stories. But we just don't know how that's going to be. Will it be vastly different, or it's going to be an amalgamation of what we know and some different things thrown in the mix? Or will it be told differently, but we end up going down that same road of what the OG have presented itself in the past? We just have to wait and see. But more so, people are focused on the myriad of the different stories, and that's the thing that has me nervous. But at the same time, I want to just wait and see what this approach is. You already know my opinion of what I think about Final Fantasy VII Remake and its story. And despite how I feel about the story, I still enjoyed my overall experience of the game with the game's combat, how they presented the characters, and it just hit me with so much of that nostalgia and everything. And I do love the presentation overall, but the story has me a little bit worried. But we're gonna have to wait and see. But I think myriad of different stories doesn't help some of us OG fans when it comes to the direction of the story, the theming of this remake trilogy. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Despite me being like really nervous and really on the fence with the trilogy, I'm not liking where the story is going. But me being a Final Fantasy VII fan, I'm curious to see, will this all be a trick? That's the thing about Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy. Are they doing this to trick us in a way to where, yes, none of this is going to matter? It's going to end up being what we know of the original Final Fantasy VII, that all this is not going to matter, that this is just something to throw us off, and then they're going to just do a switcheroo, and then everything goes back to what we know when it comes to Final Fantasy VII original story. So that's the only thing that really has me holding on to continue, is because that's the thing that I'm hoping that it may be the case, that they're doing all these different things just for the end results to still end up the same way as the original. That no matter how much the change happened, that they can't break fate, that this is destined to happen. So that's why I'm pretty much hoping that this is what's going on, that none of this is going to matter, that the people who are supposed to die is still going to die, and whether the fate of Sephiroth, Cloud, and everybody is still going to end up going the direction of the OG. So that's the only thing that's holding me on. That's what got me curious and everything. But that pretty much wraps up this video. We really don't have much to go off of when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We're going to have to wait until the Summer Game Festival and throughout the rest of the year to see what they're going to do, especially after the Final Fantasy 16 campaign begins to wrap up as it leads to the launch. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. What are your thoughts about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Do you think this is all a ruse? Do you think this direction with the story is going, do you think it's all going to end up where it originally supposed to end up at? Or do you think it's going to just be completely different altogether, and they're going to just abandon everything of the original Final Fantasy VII and what we've known and loved and what they had set up for this particular Final Fantasy entry? Definitely hear your thoughts. If you like the video, hit the like button, because it definitely helps me out in the algorithm. And that's it. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.